Before the heavyweight titles, before the roaring crowds, before the world called him the greatest, there was a frightened 12-year-old boy standing on a street corner in Louisville, Kentucky. His bicycle had just been stolen. To most people, it was only a bicycle. To him, it was freedom. Angry and heartbroken, the boy promised that if he ever found the thief, he would fight him. A nearby police officer overheard his frustration. Instead of helping him chase the thief, the officer offered something unexpected. "If you're going to fight somebody, you'd better learn how." That officer also happened to train young boxers. Neither of them could have imagined that this ordinary conversation would change sporting history forever. Life often hides destiny inside disappointment. The bicycle was never returned, but perhaps it was never supposed to be. Because, sometimes, losing one thing becomes the beginning of finding yourself. That boy was Cassius Clay. The world would later know him as Muhammad Ali. People love telling stories about champions. They celebrate the victories, the belts, the interviews, the fame. But very few people stop to ask a more important question. What separates a champion from everyone else who wanted the same dream? The answer is almost never talent. Every generation produces talented people. Very few become unforgettable. The difference is belief. Long before Muhammad Ali convinced the world, he convinced himself. That sounds simple. It isn't. Most people wait for evidence before they believe in themselves. Ali reversed the process. He believed first. Then he built the evidence. This is one of the strangest laws of human nature. Your mind will rarely allow your life to rise higher than your self-image. If you secretly believe you're ordinary, you'll unconsciously make ordinary decisions. If you believe you're capable of greatness, your actions slowly begin changing to match that belief. Young Cassius trained relentlessly. Early mornings, late evenings, punch after punch, round after round. While other boys hurried home, he often stayed longer. Not because someone forced him, because he had discovered something priceless. Every punch thrown in practice was an investment in a future nobody else could yet see. Practice is lonely. Nobody applauds empty gyms. Nobody celebrates another exhausting training session. Nobody remembers the thousands of punches that missed the target. They only remember the one that wins the championship. That is why greatness feels mysterious. People witness the result, but they never witness the repetition. Ali wasn't simply building muscles, he was building certainty. Every workout whispered the same message. You are becoming someone different. Confidence doesn't appear overnight. It grows quietly, through promises you keep to yourself. Every time Ali chose discipline over comfort, he became slightly more dangerous. Not only to his opponents, to the voice inside his own mind that whispered, "You can't." That voice exists inside all of us. Some surrender to it. Others argue with it. Muhammad Ali defeated it, one training session at a time. As his skills improved, something else grew even faster: his courage to speak. He didn't hide his ambitions. He announced them. "I am the greatest." People laughed. How could a young boxer make such an outrageous claim? Simple.
Because he understood something decades before psychologists began studying it. The words you repeat eventually become the beliefs you live. Most people use their mouths to describe reality. Ali used his to create it. Every declaration became another promise. Every promise demanded another hour of work. That is the part people often miss. Confidence without discipline becomes arrogance. But confidence supported by relentless preparation becomes power. Ali trained as though his words depended on it, because they did. There is another lesson hidden inside his story. The world rewards people who believe in themselves only after mocking them for doing so. That is the price of confidence. First, they laugh. Then, they doubt. Finally, they wonder how you did it. Most people quit during the laughter. Ali never did. He understood that ridicule is often the first companion of greatness. By the time the world finally began noticing his talent, his greatest victory had already happened. He had conquered the most difficult opponent he would ever face, the ordinary version of himself, because every legend defeats themselves before they defeat anyone else. And somewhere, inside a small boxing gym in Louisville, while the world remained completely unaware, a young man was quietly preparing to become far more than a champion. He was preparing to become an idea, a symbol, a reminder that the greatest victories are first won inside the mind.
And somewhere, inside a small boxing gym in Louisville, while the world remained completely unaware, a young man was quietly preparing to become far more than a champion. He was preparing to become an idea. As the years passed, Cassius Clay's hands became faster. His feet became lighter. His confidence became louder. But confidence alone has never won a championship. Every word he spoke had to be supported by hours of invisible work. While other fighters focused only on becoming stronger, Ali became obsessed with becoming smarter. He studied opponents. He memorized their habits. He noticed how they reacted under pressure. He watched their feet, their shoulders, even the way they breathed. Most people see a boxing match. Ali saw a conversation. Every movement asked a question. Every punch revealed an answer. That is why intelligence often defeats raw strength. The strongest person in the room is not always the most dangerous. The person who understands the room usually is. Ali understood this better than most. He refused to become predictable. When everyone expected heavy footsteps, he danced. When everyone expected silence, he talked. When everyone expected fear, he smiled. He transformed boxing into something entirely different. People laughed at the way he moved. Heavyweight boxers weren't supposed to glide across the ring. They were supposed to stand still, trading powerful punches. Ali ignored tradition. He created his own. There is something remarkable about people who change history. They rarely ask permission. They don't wait for approval. They don't stop because others call their ideas impossible. They continue not because everyone believes in them, but because they believe in themselves. Soon, the victories began arriving. Fight after fight, round after round, the young boxer who had once trained because his bicycle had been stolen was now climbing toward the highest stage in the sport. People started paying attention. Journalists wrote about him. Fans filled arenas. Commentators admired his speed. But admiration brought something else: pressure. Every victory created another expectation. Every expectation became another burden. Most people dream of success. Very few understand what success demands in return. It demands consistency. Winning once is difficult. Winning repeatedly is something entirely different. Every opponent now entered the ring wanting to defeat the loud young man who called himself the greatest. To them, beating Ali meant becoming famous. He understood that, which is why he never trained as though he were defending a title. He trained as though he still had everything to prove. That mindset separated him from countless champions before him. Some people reached the top, then stopped climbing. Ali kept climbing, even while standing at the summit. Then came one of the biggest moments of his career, his fight against Sonny Liston. Liston wasn't simply another boxer. He was feared, powerful, experienced. Many experts believed the young Cassius Clay had no chance. Sports writers predicted disaster. Fans expected the fight to end quickly. Almost nobody chose the young challenger. Almost nobody, except the challenger himself. Before the fight, Ali repeated the words people had grown tired of hearing. "I am the greatest." The world heard arrogance. Ali heard commitment, because every time he said those words, he reminded himself of the standard he had chosen to live by. There is a lesson hidden inside that moment.
Your words become dangerous when your actions refuse to betray them. Ali didn't simply speak with confidence. He trained until his confidence became believable. That is the difference between empty talk and powerful conviction. When the bell finally rang, something extraordinary happened. The man everyone expected to lose controlled the fight. His speed confused Liston. His movement frustrated him. Round after round, the impossible slowly became reality. And when the fight ended, the world could no longer laugh. The impossible had become history. Cassius Clay was the heavyweight champion of the world. People called it an upset. Others called it a miracle. But miracles rarely spend years practicing in empty gyms. The victory wasn't created that night. It had been created thousands of mornings earlier, when nobody was watching. Inside lonely training sessions, inside exhausting runs, inside moments when quitting would have been easier than continuing. That is where champions are truly born. Not under bright lights, but in the darkness, where discipline quietly defeats doubt. The world finally believed in Muhammad Ali. The truth is, he had believed long before they ever did. The world finally believed in Muhammad Ali. The truth is, he had believed long before they ever did. For many people, winning the heavyweight championship would have been the end of the story. The dream had come true. The mission was complete. There was nothing left to prove. But Muhammad Ali was never chasing a championship. He was chasing something much larger. Freedom. Not the freedom to fight, the freedom to become exactly who he believed he was. Soon after becoming champion, Cassius Clay made a decision that shocked the world. He announced that he had joined the Nation of Islam. Not long afterward, he abandoned the name Cassius Clay. He said it was a name inherited from slavery. From that day forward, he asked the world to call him Muhammad Ali. Many people refused. Newspapers criticized him. Fans turned against him. Sponsors disappeared. Some believed he had destroyed his career. Others believed he had betrayed his country. History teaches an uncomfortable truth. The moment you stop becoming who people expect, many of those people stop applauding. It is easy to stay loved when you agree with everyone. It becomes much harder when you choose your own path. Ali understood something few people ever do. There is a price for authenticity. Sometimes it is popularity. Sometimes it is comfort. Sometimes it is everything. Then another storm arrived, the Vietnam War. The United States military ordered Ali to serve. Millions expected him to obey without question. Instead, he stood still. He refused. Not because he feared fighting. The man had already proven his courage inside the boxing ring. He refused because he believed his conscience mattered more than his career. His words echoed across the world. "I ain't got no quarrel with them Viet Cong." Those words changed his life forever. Within days, the consequences arrived. His boxing license was revoked. His heavyweight title was stripped away. He was convicted for refusing military service, though that conviction would later be overturned. For years, he was unable to compete during what should have been the prime of his career. Imagine spending your entire life climbing a mountain only to be forced away from the summit. Most people would become bitter. Many would surrender. Others would quietly disappear. Muhammad Ali chose something different. He waited. He spoke at universities. He defended his beliefs. He accepted criticism without abandoning his principles. There is another kind of strength the world rarely celebrates. The strength to lose everything without losing yourself. That may have been Ali's greatest victory. Not defeating an opponent, defeating fear. Fear says, protect your success. Conviction says, Protect your character. Success can always return. Character, once traded away, is much harder to recover. Every obstacle had sharpened his resolve. By the time he climbed back into the ring, he wasn't just fighting opponents anymore. He was fighting for redemption, for belief, for every person who had ever been told, "You'll never come back." The world watched. Some hoped he would fail. Others prayed he would succeed. Ali ignored both, because he had learned a lesson long ago inside a small gym in Louisville. Outside voices matter very little once your inner voice becomes strong enough. That is where true confidence is born, not from applause, not from trophies, not from approval, but from keeping promises to yourself. And once a person learns that lesson, they become extraordinarily difficult to defeat. Once a person learns that lesson, they become extraordinarily difficult to defeat. When Muhammad Ali returned to boxing, he was no longer the same young man who had danced around Sonny Liston. The years away from the ring had changed him. His reflexes weren't as quick. His body had aged. His opponents had grown younger. But there was something they failed to understand. Ali had lost speed, yet gained something even more dangerous: wisdom. Young fighters often trust their strength. Great fighters trust their preparation. Legends trust their minds. Ali had become a legend. He understood that every fight begins long before the first punch is thrown. It begins inside the mind. If fear enters first, defeat usually follows. If belief enters first, the body often discovers strength it never knew it possessed. Then came one of the most famous nights in sporting history. October 30th, 1974, Kinshasa, Zaire. The world called it the Rumble in the Jungle. Standing across from Ali was George Foreman, a champion unlike anything boxing had seen. Younger, stronger, feared by almost everyone, Foreman had demolished champion after champion with frightening ease. Experts believed Ali was finished. They said he was too old, too slow, too worn out. Some even feared he would be seriously injured. But Muhammad Ali had heard predictions like these before. He smiled, because he understood something timeless. People judge you by what they see. They rarely understand what you know. Instead of meeting Foreman's strength with more strength, Ali did something unexpected. He leaned against the ropes. He absorbed the pressure. He waited. Round after round, people watching around the world became confused. Had Ali given up? Was he exhausted? No. He was thinking. Every punch Foreman threw drained a little more energy. Every missed opportunity slowly changed the fight. Ali wasn't reacting. He was creating the outcome he wanted. Patience became his greatest weapon. There is a lesson hidden inside that strategy. Not every battle is won through force. Some are won through timing. Most people panic when life becomes difficult. They rush. They react. They waste energy fighting every problem the moment it appears. Ali showed another way. Observe, endure, wait. Then strike when the moment is right. In the 8th round, that moment finally arrived. Foreman's punches had slowed. His breathing had changed. The unstoppable champion was no longer unstoppable. Ali exploded from the ropes with a combination so fast that millions of people could hardly believe what they had witnessed. George Foreman fell to the canvas. The referee counted. The crowd erupted. Muhammad Ali had done the impossible. Again. History called it one of the greatest upsets in boxing. But was it really an upset? Or was it simply another victory built upon years of preparation, discipline, and belief? People saw one punch. Ali saw 20 years of work. That is the difference between spectators and creators. Spectators celebrate moments. Creators remember the years that produced those moments. As time passed, Muhammad Ali's influence stretched far beyond boxing. He became a humanitarian. He traveled the world. He encouraged children to dream bigger than their circumstances. He reminded people that courage wasn't measured only by fists, but by convictions. Later in life, he faced another opponent, one that could not be knocked out. Parkinson's disease slowly weakened his body.
The hands that had once moved faster than lightning began to tremble. The voice that once filled stadiums became quieter, but something remarkable happened. The disease touched his body. It never conquered his spirit. Millions looked at him and still saw greatness, not because he remained physically powerful, because his character remained unshaken. That may be the greatest lesson of all. Strength fades, youth disappears, titles change hands, records are broken, but character echoes long after everything else is gone. When Muhammad Ali lit the Olympic cauldron in 1996, the entire world watched in silence. His hands trembled, yet his courage stood perfectly still. In that single moment, he reminded humanity that greatness is not the absence of struggle. It is the decision to keep standing, even while carrying it. Today, people remember Muhammad Ali as one of the greatest athletes who ever lived. They remember his speed, his confidence, his victories. But perhaps history should remember him for something even greater. He taught us that the strongest person is not always the one who throws the hardest punch. It is the one who refuses to surrender their principles, the one who keeps believing when doubt surrounds them, the one who continues moving forward even when life seems determined to push them backward. So if you ever find yourself questioning your own potential, remember the 12-year-old boy whose bicycle was stolen. What felt like a tragedy became the first chapter of an extraordinary life. One small loss led to one small decision. One decision, repeated over thousands of days, created a legend. Welcome to The Inner Mirror, because every great life leaves behind the same reflection. Your greatest opponent is never standing across from you. Your greatest opponent is the voice that tells you to quit. Silence that voice, and the world will never be the same. Until the next reflection, look within.